Field of 68 After Dark.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Field of 68 After Dark, presented by BetMGM. At the time of this recording, 11 p.m. on Wednesday evening, December the 3rd, exactly 1 month into the college basketball season. Hard to believe, alongside the Godfather, Jeff Goodman, former Illinois great Mike LaTulip, and recently had his jersey retired there at Marquette. Legend Jerel McNeal. I am Sam Ravech. Might have a few words to say, Jerel, about your former program there as we go along, but we got a lot to get into tonight. SEC, ACC Challenge just about wrapping up. We have got a couple games underway right now. Auburn trying to close things out against NC State. Vanderbilt, man, they are putting the hurt on Andy Enfield's squad right now in SMU. We'll get to all of that. Also, Big Ten play underway, began in earnest yesterday. Indiana facing some adversity there up in Minneapolis. But I wanted to start the show this way really quick, guys. Since we are a month into the season, I want to know who you think the best team in the country is right now after 1 month of basketball. It can be really quick, Goodman, but you can start.
I mean, you got to go with Michigan, to me, with what they did in terms of in Vegas, winning those 3 games as convincingly as they did, and highlighting it with that molly-whopping over the Gonzaga Bulldogs, a team that a lot of people thought was a top 5 team, a national title contender. You got to go with Michigan right now because of what they can do on both sides of the ball.
Jerel?
I agree. I think Michigan, after the week that they had, it's got to be them. But I'll jump off the deep end on this one, and I'm probably gonna hate myself for saying this tomorrow because of Dowster. But I think you got to throw UConn in the mix. What they've been able to do with some of the guys missing. Obviously, we saw the return of Braylon Mullins, and then when Terrence Reeves gets back, they easily have one of the top constructed teams in the country as well too. So I got to throw UConn in the mix also.
Go ahead, LaTulip.
I think it's going to be UConn at some point. I think right now, the Michigan stuff, I think, has distracted us from Purdue still being really damn good. So I'm going to roll with Purdue until someone dethrones them in the Big Ten this year. I know Michigan obviously had an incredible MTE, but I'm going to roll with Purdue. They gotten better on the glass. They gotten better defensively, and Braden Smith's still arguably the best point guard in America.
Yeah, I'm with you too, LaTulip. We knew the offense was going to generate some good flow there. We knew Braden Smith, Draycroft, and Bren were going to score, but I don't think anybody knew they would be as effective as they were on the offensive glass as they've been this year. Second chance points. If you give this team second chances, they're gonna kill you. And we saw them hold Alabama to 80 points. So the defense can also put a hurt on some teams out there. Plenty of teams that have a case to be made for best team in the country, going through some adversity. Louisville was one of those teams I think you could have made a case for, but the performance tonight may have put a dent in that. Top 25 showdown at Bud Walton Arena. Final score, number 25, Arkansas, 89, number 6, Louisville, 80. Cards just struggled to do what they do best for like a full 40 minutes in this game, which is make threes and get points off turnovers. Neither of which they were able to do in the first half. Play better in the second half, but they just couldn't get enough stops when it comes down to it. Goodman, this Arkansas team was in desperate search of a signature win. They had 2 respectable losses up until this point. You mentioned Michigan by 4 and Duke by 9, but they got a signature win tonight.
Yeah, especially after last year, right? I mean, last year they came out of the gate so slow. You know, we were talking about how long Calipari was going to last in Fayetteville. So, you know, coming out this year, didn't get those wins against Michigan State, against Duke. So I think this one was important for Calipari and this youngish team, not as young as his usual teams, but still young. And, man, what they did tonight defensively, especially in the first half, that blew me away. Mikael Brown couldn't get anywhere in the first half, and he's one of the best point guards in the country. He was better in the second half, but he was rattled. They were rattled. And again, I was just really impressed with their defensive effort. And really, Brazil was kind of the key to that, right? On both ends of the court, giving them that energy that sometimes he lacks. And when he comes out with that on both ends of the court, and obviously he's making shots, but it was also that confidence, that energy that if he has it, I think it rubs off on the rest of the team.
LaTulip, thoughts?
Yeah, Jeff nailed it. You just think about December last year for Arkansas. That Michigan win felt like, okay, it's the first signature win of the season. But the difference this year is they got more opportunities in the non-conference against Texas Tech and against Houston. So I think the evolution of this Arkansas team in terms of how they preserve leads throughout the season is going to be fascinating because they're chaos creators. And that chaos, I think, sped up Louisville in the first half. The five-way switching they do, the unpredictability defensively, although sometimes it looks very undisciplined, I think it threw Louisville out of rhythm. And so when they get leads like that and start to go into like a slow it down, get a good shot mode, it almost takes them away from what makes them great. So they're going to have to work through that. But I thought Malik Ewan and the contributions across the board, Carter Knox to start the game, and then Brazil, and then Ewan during that stretch where it got dicey for Arkansas, coming up with 50-50 balls. Cal wants him to be a part of their best lineups, period. 18 minutes tonight, 7 offensive rebounds. He stabilized things for them. And then Acuff, I thought, really brought it home, getting downhill and finishing around the rim. So, and a great floor game, too. So I'm excited about this Arkansas team. I think between Texas Tech and Houston, I'm pretty confident they're going to split those games at a minimum. I think they're starting to round into form here.
Yeah, LaTulip. I mean, Arkansas didn't have a player like Malik Ewan last year. Just a dominant low post scorer, rebounder that can affect the game in the paint, especially on the defensive side as well. Jerel, what do you make of this win for Arkansas and a team like for Coach Cal? That, remember, they started 0-5 in SEC play last year. It doesn't appear as if they're going to do that again this year, but who knows?
Yeah, and I think tonight was another great staple and a great step for this Arkansas team. And obviously, it was a quality win over a quality opponent, but it was really impressive. I think Jeff alluded to it, just the defensive intensity that they had in that first half against a Louisville team that we know can really fill it up with arguably 2 of the best guards in the country as well, too. It was great. And then Brazil was just that X factor. I think he had 17 in the first half, which was more points than he's ever scored in a half in his career. Made 3 threes, and he kind of just broke that game open early on. And for the most part, Louisville was chasing for the rest of the time. I got 2 quick thoughts, and I just want to know you guys' thought process on this as well, too. I think it's kind of a Cal thing is something that he's more comfortable with offensively, but he's found sort of his Tyler Ulis level point guard with Acuff. He's comfortable with him running the show. Usually Cal teams are really good. When he has an elite level guard that he can trust in pick and roll situations, he can give him the ball. It usually fares well for him. And the second thing is Louisville on the other end. I think they got some issues just with defensive versatility. They didn't handle those ball screens very well tonight. I'm not sure if Fru and Khalifa are going to be guys that are going to be able to handle those situations all year long. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next couple months.
Yeah, just a couple of thoughts here. Go real quick, Goodman. So, yeah, I'm with you.
To be honest, he's not
an
athletic dude. And going up against the front line, and not even a front line, just like their wings, their guards are athletic at Arkansas. Kind of a bad matchup for him. I think he's solid, but I'm not sure. Again, their front line right now, you look at it and you're like, okay, now I question. Now he better dominate. I mean, think about it. They got Indiana coming up. We'll talk about the Hoosiers here in a minute. They got them on Saturday. Like, I want to see Sanandra Fru dominate that Indiana front line because today he was a step slow every time I looked up, to be honest.
Go ahead, LaTulip. Go ahead.
I'll zag here. I don't think Sanandra Fru is the issue. I mean, I thought he was honestly like the 4 offensive rebounds tonight. He had 14 points. He had 2 blocks. Like I thought he was solid tonight. I think Louisville's, this game for me with Louisville, like, no panic. I think they still can contend in the ACC. I think they're still Final Four contenders, all that stuff. And I like the way they prioritize driving in the second half instead of instead of letting that chaos turn them into kind of chucking threes. But my biggest worry with them is on the glass. And you can look at the metrics on KenPom or wherever and just say, hey, they actually look like a good rebounding team. But I think the metrics were misleading coming into this game, and that's what I was really cracking down watching was the glass, because when it really comes down to it, like they really aren't, Frew I think is actually a pretty good athlete for his size. But the rest of the guys around him, when you start Hadley, and then Conwell's not a great athlete, certainly vertically. Yeah. McNeely, same thing. I mean, Brown's obviously a freak, but I just they're small. And so getting the help, it's not necessarily Frew, because Frew's the guy that's going to contest shots at the rim, especially in pick and roll. If they play drop, he's going to contest shots around the rim. So when he goes and leaves his man to block shots, who's coming in and cracking down on rebounds? That's how Ewan got 7 offensive rebounds tonight. So to me, it's like it's not just Frew, it's the guards in these wings who have. That's why you need something from Pryor. You need more size out there and more rebounding.
I'm not the
same thing.
Yeah, and I agree, Mike.
But
yeah, and that wasn't to say that it was all on Frew. It was more so just me saying, with those guys, like I think you hit it on the head. They don't have a huge team to begin with, but
yeah,
you know how it goes. Like if drop coverage isn't working, what the hell do we go to next? If my fastball isn't getting people out today, what's my changeup? What's going to be my breaking pitch? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know with those guys that they necessarily have the flexibility or versatility, I should say, to do a lot of different things. I'm not sure. Obviously, I'm sure they'll try at some point to mix in some zone or something if they needed, just to, throw a wrench at people. But what would be a different look that you can give somebody if your drop coverage ball screen isn't working at night? Because I think we can see that now. Like, people are going to go after that, especially when, like you said, Frew's the better athlete, but when Khalifa's in the game, you for sure going to get it. You know what I mean? But those guys are both good players, and they give them rim protection and a presence. So it's not their fault. It's just I don't know how many different ways they're going to be able to do it.
Well, I think to your point, Jerel, Arkansas exposed some of that tonight, because when Khalifa's in, they put 2 on the ball when Khalifa's in ball screens, because they don't want him like retreating into the paint, having guys beat him on rolls. So Arkansas was like, if you're going to put 2 on the ball, when we skip out of it, we're attacking. Like, we're getting downhill, we're getting in the paint. And then they switched with Frew in the second half. And now you got your guy who's your best rebounder out on the perimeter on guards. So, I mean, that's the question, I think, for Louisville is on the defensive end. We saw tonight, they didn't play well offensively, and they hung 80 points. Like, it's not that. Certainly the offensive end isn't the issue. So I want to see how they continue to grow and evolve.
What changed LaTulip? What changed LaTulip in that second half? Because, I don't think Louisville's going to go 3 from 20 from beyond the arc very often in games. They did that in the first half. They didn't light it up in the second half, but what schematically changed in that second half for Louisville to get things going?
Well, their first 20 points in the second half, only 6 of them came from the 3-point line. Like, they just made more of a point to get downhill, even if it was McNeely, who usually hunts those threes, like he's shot faking, getting downhill, using the chaos that Arkansas is trying to create, using that against them, where it's not like, hey, I'm not going to rush into this 3. I'm actually going to try to get into the paint. They had a couple drop-offs to Frew. I thought they locked in a little bit more defensively, and they were able to get out on the break a little bit more too. So it all ties together. But I think, and Michael Brown, I think, has to learn too. Like, he's an offensive engine, period. He is. But some of the shot selection stuff with him and the time and situation stuff, I think they had cut it to 8 or 7 at one point, and he had a pull-up 3 off of no passes, kind of in the half court, just little stuff like that as a freshman, like, he'll continue to learn. And he's mesmerizing, man. Like, that dude, the dunk he had in the first half, I mean, he is
That was legit. Malik Brown Jr., by the way, his third 20-point game of the year. That is tied for the most by a Louisville freshman in the last 20 years. On the other side, Darius Acup Jr. became the first Arkansas player with 15 points and 10 assists in a game since Jalen Tate. That's a name from a couple of years ago, back in 2021. But you kind of mentioned it, LaTulip. Like, Goodman, did anything change in your opinion as to the outlook of this Louisville team going forward based on what we saw today? Or are you still pretty confident? Because I think coming into this game, we were all like, this could be one of the best teams in the country.
I'm still
Yeah,
I'm still confident. Yeah.
I like
I mean,
him.
Jeff,
I
what do you
don't
think?
know. Yeah, I like him, but after watching him tonight again, I just look at that front line and I'm like, all right, like the guards aren't going to shoot. Conwell's not going to shoot like that again. What was he, 3 for 12 or something from three? That's not going to be him. And I think McNeal Brown, like you said, LaTulip, he kind of started playing a little bit out of character for him, you know, and trying to hunt a little bit too much in the second half to try to get him back into it instead of just playing his game, which he normally does. I'm just worried about the front line. I am. I just don't know if they have enough on the front line. And as you said, there was a lot of pressure on Frew, and maybe I was a little bit harsh on him because he didn't have enough help. But I also don't think he's an MFer. I just don't think he's an MFer like that. And I think they probably need a guy like that. And Hadley needs to be better than he was tonight.
Well, I think if we're looking at just like prognosticating for Louisville, and this is just the reality when you have the lineups that they have, when you get into March, there's a select few teams that the matchup doesn't matter. Like the matchup does not matter. Louisville is going to be one of those teams where I think to get to a Final Four, the matchups are going to matter along the way. The type of teams that you play. So, you know, that's not to say they can't get there. It's just to say that they are like a lot of teams in college basketball, because there's only probably 3 or 4 right now where it's like, doesn't matter what the matchup is, this team has an advantage. Louisville's, especially in the front court, they're gonna need that as they get through March, but we're a long ways away from that.
Just a couple of months. 1 month into the season, we got a couple to go until we get to March. By the way, tonight was just the second win over an AP top 10 team for Coach Cal as the head man for the Razorbacks. The other one, last year's NCAA tournament win over St. John's. That was the only other AP top 10 win for Coach Cal during his tenure at Arkansas. We are just getting started here on After Dark. While last night might have been the night for the ACC, tonight the SEC reasserted its dominance to a degree. There was some surprises in there as well, and some fireworks down the stretch in some of those games. The late night hours were really good. We'll get to the rest of those on the other side. Plus, Big Ten play underway. Indiana Hoosiers running into some adversity. That's all coming up. Keep it right here.
As you know by now, we have teamed up with BetMGM again this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we will have special offers for Field of 68 fans, including same-game parlays, best-in-class live betting, and daily odds boost. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. You download the BetMGM app, you sign up using bonus code FIELD, you deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. Make this college basketball season one for the history books. Make it legendary. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. If you're not a member of the Field of 68's On3 community, make sure to go check us out. Get access to all of Jeff Goodman and Rob Doster's written content, including coaching carousel breakdowns, info on who is and isn't entering the transfer portal, insider recruiting information from none other than Joe Tipton, X's and O's analysis of all the teams in college basketball, and access to our message board community. A 7-day trial costs you $1. The Field of 68 on 3. Get the scoop.
Back here on the Field of 68 After Dark, presented by BetMGM. Jeff Goodman, Mike LaTulip, and Jerel McNeal. I am Sam Ravech. Conference play began in earnest yesterday in the Big Ten. Continued this evening. Number 22, Indiana. Darren DeVries on the road in Minneapolis. Take on Nico Medved's Minnesota Gophers. IU hadn't lost in Minnesota since February of 2019. That changed tonight. Final score, Minnesota 73, Indiana 64. Hoosiers led by 8 in this game, under 5 to play. Golden Gophers stormed back down the stretch. First lost under DeVries at Indiana. Goodman, what are your takeaways from the Hoosiers' first loss of the season?
That if Tucker DeVries doesn't have a really good game, I don't know if the supporting cast is good enough right now. You know, he struggled shooting the ball, and some of their other guys, Connor Enright, didn't give him enough. Reed Bailey didn't give him enough, and they're outmatched up front. Like, that's my biggest question. That's been my biggest question going into the year is, you know, Reed Bailey and Sam Alexis as your bigs, are they good enough? Are they good enough to control the glass? And that's where they got, to me, outmanned tonight and really out-physical the whole night. Like, I'm watching, and I just thought Minnesota was the tougher team for the majority of the night. And, you know, we wondered a little bit about Indiana and a lot of these mid-major guys transferring up. And, you know, this was one of them in the Big Ten. They've beaten a couple teams so far in Jerel's Marquette team, which looks like an NIT team, and Kansas State, which looks like an NIT team, if that, maybe 2 CBI teams, I don't know. So they go to Minnesota playing a fairly hostile environment, the Barn, and again, got out physical tonight, plain and simple.
Jerel, thoughts?
Yeah, I'm still thinking about that CBI comment. I'm sorry. I had a couple mental images come up once he said that. No, I think he hit it on the head with everything, and obviously Coach DeVries has done a great job. I feel like in building this roster, these guys got more. Obviously, they have continuity now. They got guys that can shoot the ball. They got guys that can stretch the floor. They got good guys, good basketball IQ guys as well, too. So they get to their stuff. They run good stuff. They'll score points. But I think, you know, the end-all be-all is going to be whether they're able to guard people. And Jeff hit it on the head. They got out-rebounded 40-25 tonight. And to be honest with you, you know, Jeff said a mouthful about Indiana and kind of what they need to do, and he was spot on with everything. But you know, obviously a bit of a hat tip. They had a very what's the word I want to use? A polite court storming today at the Barn. So
that's right.
You know, hats off to Nico Medved. I really enjoy him. Obviously, he showed what he could do as a coach. You know, at Colorado State and things like that. But just, man, how hard his teams play, how physical they are. It's just always really impressive. You can see those fingerprints on that program all day, already kind of turning over. And this is going to be the basement for him. So he's going to get the opportunity just to continue to build this thing up and get the resources or whatever else that he needs. And shout out to Langston Reynolds was great. Also, Cade Tyson was phenomenal. They had five starters scored in double figures. So it's a good night for those guys.
LaTulip, worst offensive performance of the season for IU, and albeit a short sample size here, but season low 64 points, 22 from 55 from the field today, 8 from 29 from distance. And I think if there was a knock on the previous administration on a very macro level, they just didn't win enough. Like that's what it comes down to. If you want to find a positive, if you can, in a quad 3 loss, maybe the resilience to stay in this game. But like, look, with all due respect, man, like Minnesota had lost their last 3 games coming into this one. San Francisco, Stanford, Santa Clara, that's the trifecta in the Bay Area there. They lost all of them. So like, how bad of a loss is this?
Well, first of all, I do want to give credit to Nico Medved getting the win to kick off Big Ten play.
Sure.
They're shorthanded. They dealt with foul trouble tonight, especially in their front court. But again, for Indiana, the difference I think between this year and some of the previous years is that watching this game tonight, I never questioned Indiana's toughness or grit. And that was something that you questioned a lot, quite frankly, over the last few years, and just their care
mental toughness. The mental
what's
toughness.
That? Yeah,
the mental
that too.
Toughness.
Yeah.
Right.
And look, like I think the glass for sure tonight was an issue. You mentioned the front court. Like that front court is going to be, and I'm not comparing Indiana and Louisville, but it's a similar conversation where it's, that front court can get pushed around a little bit. especially on the glass. Where it really showed up to me tonight defensively was Minnesota and Nico Medved. They're going to run a ton of off-ball actions, and they're going to run a ton for Cade Tyson. They're going to run a ton for Durkin. And when they run it for those guys who are being guarded by a Tucker DeVries, who are being guarded by a Trent Sisley, that's not their strength, chasing off ball. Where Indiana's good defensively is when they get you in close quarters. Enright's just a pest. Conaway's a pest. I think Wilkerson's taken a step forward too on the defensive end. But when you spread them out like that and get off-ball actions, that's where I worry about them in addition to the glass. So whether it was Durkin, and Jalen Crocker-Johnson too was, I thought, really timely with a few of his buckets late. But ultimately for Indiana, I love their modern style offensively. Woodson playing those two bigs for as long as he did over the past few years. But then against the real players in this league, how does that front court hold up? That's really the ultimate question. I think their floor is high enough in the Big Ten to be an NCAA tournament team, to be probably a top 8 finish in the league because they play so hard, and I think they play really connected. But again, matchup night to night in this league, there's going to be some that aren't great for them.
Well, each of the past 2 years, Indiana has ranked last in the conference in three-pointers made. Like, is that a concern that you still have, Goodman, for this team going forward? Is it a part of that identity? Like, are they going to finish top 5 in the league in threes this year?
Yes. I'm not worried about that. They're going to shoot. Lamar Wilkerson and Tucker DeVries are going to be able to shoot, and Reed Bailey can step out and shoot some. So they're going to move the ball. They're going to make shots. Again, I think the biggest concern for me is just kind of the bulk, the length, the athleticism on the interior, and how often that's going to really affect them in the Big Ten. It doesn't hurt you as much, obviously, if you're playing some bye games or you're playing the Marquette Golden Eagles. You're fine. But when you start stepping it up, that's another stray on your team there, Jerel.
Damn. It's going to be a long season, fellas. This is going to be a long season. Huh?
Yes, it is.
Oh, man. Jerel's taking shots, shrapnel left and right here. Yeah, the other thing, too, and I know Coach DeVries and his process has worked everywhere that he's been. But since Bob Knight was fired at Indiana, Indiana has made 6 coaching hires. That is the most in the Big Ten since that point as well. So we will see. Jury is still out, I think, on Indiana. This was their first real test, and maybe it can turn out to be a blessing in disguise to take one in the chin early on in the season. Go ahead, Goodman. You got some?
Yeah. I want all of us to guess right now where Indiana finished quickly. Don't need to go into it long. Where you think they're going to finish in the Big Ten? Yeah, that's for you, LaTulip. Where are they going to finish in the Big Ten? Where are they going to finish? Just give me flat out what number. Give me a number, all 4 of us.
7.
I was going to say 8.
I was going to say 7. Yeah.
I'll go 7. I like that.
Yeah. And you know what? That's an NCAA tournament team.
Is that a
That's
successful?
a bye
I
in
was
the
going
Big
to
Ten
say,
tournament.
is that a successful season?
Year one,
with the money they spent, maybe not. But yes, in terms of they're more visually pleasing to the eye. They play a style that's not back in the 1980s like Mike Woodson. They've got a coach who's connecting with the fan base. And frankly, they're in the Big Ten title football game, so people don't really give a shit that much right now.
Well,
they're going to give teams fits offensively. Like offensively, they're going to give a lot of teams fits in this league.
I'm not sure how many people give a shit about the Big Ten title game, by the way, but that's a conversation for another day. They're both getting buys in the playoff. Both getting buys. All right, another team that had a lot of expectations coming into the season. And speaking of money, they spent some there in Raleigh. 5-3, the record for Will Wade right now through the first month of the season as they take another loss to Auburn. Auburn moves to 7-2, 83-73, the final there in the jungle. This game just wrapped up a couple of minutes ago. When you look at the box score, I mean, Darian Williams, 11 points in this game. It looked like NC State got out physicaled a good portion of it. Keyshawn Hall, man, 28 points in this game, 9 for 14 from the field. The man made 5 threes. You can see the difference in this Auburn team, Jeff, when Keyshawn Hall is on the floor versus when he is not on the floor. He is a huge difference maker. You take him out of this lineup, this is a different Auburn team.
And Pettiford was awful. He was atrocious tonight. I mean, honestly, looked like he was shaving points. And I know that's taboo to say these days, but I mean, he was turning the ball over. He couldn't make a shot. And the beauty is Kevin Overton, who's kind of a 3-and-D type guy.
Yeah.
That sometimes you don't want trying to do too much. He tried to do a little bit more, and he showed he can do a little bit more, because I think that's the worry. Keyshawn Murphy's been hurt a lot this season. He's trying to get healthy. But I think if this team's clicking on all cylinders, and I give Steve Pearl a lot of credit, because, again, in Vegas, when they got absolutely stomped by Michigan, the way they came back, like as a rookie head coach, the way he was able to get that group back. And I was worried because, again, Keyshawn Hall hasn't won a ton in his college career.
Right.
Pettiford's just a sophomore trying to figure out this leadership role with a completely different cast around him. So really, really impressed with what Steve Pearl's been able to do, and obviously what Keyshawn Hall's been able to do tonight. And Overton was terrific.
Jerel, you can take this anywhere you want, but, Pettiford had his moments last year. One of the better freshmen, I think, in the country. Maybe not the best, but he was amongst them in that conversation. Chalk this up to a sophomore slump, or is there something else there that's maybe a little bit more concerning in this offense under Stephen Pearl?
I wouldn't go sophomore slump route. He's required now this year as well to do more. His role is bigger. They're putting the ball in his hands a lot more. We remember stretches during the run last year, even where they had the luxury of even being able to protect him, in those moments when he actually played a little bit like a freshman, or the moment was a little bit too big for him. They had other guys that they could go to and pull him out of the game and still, let the freshman kind of be a freshman. So now, the ball is kind of in his hands a lot more, and he's got a lot more responsibility as well, too. I'm not worried about Pettiford too much. He's, in my mind, and I've seen the kid since he was in high school. I think he's an NBA talent. It's just about him figuring out the nuances of the game. Basketball IQ things and things like that, and how to continue to, not just be a guard, but continue to be a point guard or a lead guard or a team and get other guys involved. I think he'll be fine. And quite honestly, they should have won this game by 20 points. The only reason that NC State kind of was able to hang around was because Auburn was turning the ball over. They was
20 times.
Like pancakes, man. Like they was flipping that thing like pancakes tonight. So it was like, and that was really the only good offense that NC State had in the first half. It wasn't like guys were killing it, but every time they turned it over, it turned into points the other way. So you look up and it was a 6 or 8 point game at halftime or whatever it was before they kind of were able to get a little bit of separation. But they got to take care of the ball better. Both of their two primary guys, I think, combined for 10 turnovers tonight, but still an impressive win to win through that regardless, and pretty much do it in easy fashion. So.
LaTulip Dagan, our wonderful producer, asked this question in our group text, and I'll ask it. Did Seton Hall break NC State?
I'm not even going to answer that, Sam.
Not even going to address it. Wow.
Shaheen Holloway, baby.
I mean, if we want to get into a broader NC State conversation, I said it after the Seton Hall game, but if NC State wants to do anything of consequence this season, they have to defend at a higher level. It has to happen, because right now there's three things that are happening on their defensive possessions. It's really one of three things. It's either they are forcing a turnover, they are fouling, or they are giving up a bucket. And that's just not a great recipe, especially tonight. You play a team that's averaging 9 turnovers a game, you turn over 20 times. That's great. But every other time they didn't turn them over, it felt like Auburn got a high percentage look. And look, I even just to flip it back to Auburn, this could be a horrible analogy, but I'll throw it out there anyways. But what Tahad Pettiford is going through right now is like, it's like going from being Darren Sproles to Drew Brees. Like your last year, it's, hey, you're the spark plug, come in, be the kind of the gadget guy. There's really not a ton of responsibility. You got the wind at your back, and then now you're the quarterback, and you got the responsibility of making sure everybody's on the same page. Because last year that was the job of other guys. Now it's your job, and so that's a lot. Like, that's just. I think we play this game where it's like, hey, he's just going to elevate to this role and have no problem, be 20 a game, be an All-American. It's a lot to put on a guy's shoulders. I think he's capable of it, and I think this offense is starting to kind of round into form where I thought there was potential when I watched some of the exhibition games for like a real tug of war between like, do we want to play through Hall? Do we want to play through Pettiford? And now it's like you kind of understand, okay, Pettiford's going to set the table. He's going to be like the first side action. It's probably going to be a ball screen. And now you got Keyshawn Hall like he was tonight as like a second side guy where he's either hitting a skip 3 or he's driving a long closeout when that ball gets skipped. And and then you got Overton is just kind of the ultimate green light roam, attack long closeouts, when you have an inch of space, get it up. Like that's starting to turn into a real formula, I think, for Auburn. It's chaotic at times, but it's a formula, which is more than we could say 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And that's progress.
Taysom Hill to Drew Brees. I like it, Mike.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
Trolls. He said Sproles,
I'm giving him a better example. Taysom Hill, baby. That's the gadget.
I tried to compare eras.
Sorry. I like it.
No,
I like
it's good.
Mike.
It's good. I got where you're putting down there, LaTulip.
Good. At least it landed.
So for NC State's outlook on the season, I think coming into the year it was all right. Louisville, Duke, UNC, maybe in kind of a class of their own. And then there was a whole lot of the rest. But I think a lot of people expected NC State to be amongst the highest in the rest, maybe finishing 3rd or 4th in this conference. Will Wade has averaged over 22 wins a season in his 11 years as a head coach. If I put the number at 22 wins, do you think this NC State team wins more than 22 games this year, having already picked up 3 losses, Jeff?
I do. I think they'll get better, but we have made Will Wade into John Wooden this past offseason.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. We did. And I'm at fault for it too. We made him into something that he's probably not, which is a savior immediately. It still might take some time for this team, right? He brought some guys with him for McNeal. He added Darren Williams, who was a great pickup through the portal. But they're probably, truth be told, a big man short here. And I think that's the hard part of the way they play defensively, LaTulip. If you don't have that long athletic big, which he's been able to win without, but it was at McNeal State. Now he's in the ACC. He's playing against teams like Auburn in the ACC-SEC Challenge. I think at the end of the day, that's going to really cost him from being a top-tier team, a team that can go to a Final Four.
Yeah, what we saw out in Maui, the 11-point loss to Seton Hall, bouncing back with an 11-point win over Boise State. It seems like it's a lot of up and down right now for NC State. Look, it's a lot of up and down for a lot of teams across the country as they figure out what their respective roles are on the teams and what an identity of a team is. Speaking of identity, Virginia may have one of the more in-depth identities that we have seen from Ryan Odom early on in the season. We're going to talk about that when we come back. Also, if you like offense, shootout in Nashville between Vandy and SMU. We will get to those games and a lot more on the other side of the break. Keep it right here on Field of 68 After Dark.
As you know by now, we have teamed up with BetMGM again this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we will have special offers for Field of 68 fans, including same-game parlays, best-in-class live betting, and daily odds boost. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. You download the BetMGM app, You sign up using bonus code FIELD. You deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. Make this college basketball season one for the history books. Make it legendary. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD and get your $1,500 first bet offer today.
Are you trying to follow everything happening in college basketball? It can be overwhelming. That's where the Field of 68 Daily comes into play. The Daily is your go-to source for recruiting news, game analysis, portal updates, and much, much more. For just $50 a year, you get access to the same information that your favorite coaching staff is subscribed to. Quality content can be hard to find in the college basketball space. The Daily is here to help. Make sure you subscribe today.
If you're not a member of the Field of 68's On3 community, make sure to go check us out. Get access to all of Jeff Goodman and Rob Doster's written content, including coaching carousel breakdowns, info on who is and isn't entering the transfer portal, insider recruiting information from none other than Joe Tipton, X's and O's analysis of all the teams in college basketball, and access to our message board community. A 7-day trial costs you $1. The Field of 68 on 3. Get the scoop.
Back here on Field of 68 After Dark, presented by BetMGM. Maybe it wasn't a 14-2 drubbing beatdown like the SEC doled out last year, but in the conference where it, quote-unquote, just means more, it meant a lot more of the same from the SEC this year as they win the SEC-ACC Challenge once again. It was closer. The ACC is certainly a better conference than they were last year. But when you have teams like Vanderbilt doing what they're doing this year, this is going to be a team that is going to cause some problems in the conference this year. A big reason why, when you look at their roster, is their sophomore standout, Tyler Tanner, who joins us now after the big win. Tyler, really appreciate the time, man. Career high 26 points tonight. You guys have got things rolling there. Coach Byington, it's such a good vibe in Nashville. I mean, you got Diego Pavia throwing touchdown passes on the field. You're dropping dimes on the court, man. What's it been like being a player for this team this year, and talk about the win tonight?
Yeah, it was a huge win for us. We were really hyped up for that game. And then just talking about Vanderbilt culturally, it's a great time to be here. It's kind of a new Vanderbilt. It's a new era. We're just trying to capitalize on that every day.
Tyler, you've been so good this year. You, the team, everything kind of surprised a lot of people. Last year you played a decent amount, but your role completely changed this season. Having the ball in your hands, playing extended minutes, you're shooting the hell out of the ball. What was it? Was it just the opportunity? Everybody says, you make the biggest jump from your freshman to your sophomore year. For you, it's been pretty significant.
Yeah, a lot of it's confidence. I like to tell everybody I've always had it in me. So a lot of freedom from coach. He trusts in me now. He trusted me last year, but he's relying on me more now to lead this team, kind of lead everybody. So I'm just able to play freely, play like myself, and everything works out.
Yeah, Tyler, you mentioned the confidence piece of it. I wanted to ask about the confidence collectively from your group. Obviously, last year, start 13-1. You're 9-0 this year. What's different about this group? Just from watching you guys play, and I say this in a way that it's not boastful at all. You guys play like you know you're good. So what's the difference from last year to this year?
Yeah, a lot of it is our trust in each other. It makes it easy to believe in the team when you believe in every one of your teammates. So like I've said many times before, the coaching staff did a great job recruiting this offseason. And it's really just the whole team is together. And it makes it a lot easier for us to be confident in the team when it's like that.
Tyler, two quick ones. Obviously, you playing at a really high level this year, and you said a lot about the confidence stuff. tell me a little bit about just some of the work you put in this off season as well, and then you also mentioned it being a new era there at Vandy. Just talk a little bit about how it feels getting you guys are 1 win away from 10, and this early on in the season. Just talk about the feel and how the team and everything is coming together, how it feels different.
Yeah, first I'll talk about how the team's coming together. We're really trying to take it one day at a time, always getting better. And like I said, that confidence exudes and people are going to be able to see it. And I think we're going to shock a lot of people down this stretch as SEC play comes in, NCAA tournament, SEC tournament, all that. And then from a confidence standpoint and the work I put in, my right-hand man, Spencer Richardson, he's always in the gym with me. He's coming up to Vandy, shooting me texts, whatever it is. I give almost all my credit for this offseason to him because he's poured into me so much. He's made me a better man and a better basketball player. So a lot of credit to him.
That's awesome.
All right,
man.
So Darius Garland, Brandon Wright, David Harrison, Tyler Tanner. Who is the best Brentwood Academy product basketball-wise?
That's hard to say. Off of pure stats, I would have to say Darius as of right now. He is older than me, so I got time to make up for it. But as of right now, I mean, all-star, 5th pick, all that. So I would have to give it to my guy, DG.
You know who the best talker was out of the 4 of you? David Harrison.
Who was it?
It ain't even close. That dude can talk. You're pretty chill. David Harrison was not chill.
Tanner, really quick, before we get you out of here, you talk about, your teammates, you guys with the chemistry this year. Talk a little bit about what it's like playing for Coach Byington. I know this is year 2 for him as well, alongside you. How have you seen him in this offseason? Because he had a full offseason to prepare you guys and get you ready for another season in this conference, which is looking like, again, being one of the more tough conference this year. Talk about what it's like playing for him in this team.
Yeah, I've learned a lot from playing for Coach B. He runs a very pro system, spacing and ball screens and stuff. I personally love playing for him. When I was first talking to them as they came here as a staff before last year, they said a lot of the actions are going to be ball screen, put the ball in the guard's hands, and it was true. So obviously that's a system that works out for me, maker in those ball screens, but it's been good.
Tyler Tanner, 26 points in the 88-69 win over SMU. Back-to-back SEC-ACC Challenge wins as well for Vanderbilt. You guys beat Virginia Tech last year. Congratulations, Tyler, on the start to the season. Best of luck down the stretch, and most importantly, stay healthy.
Thanks,
Really
Tyler.
appreciate Tyler Tanner joining us on
Thanks, Tyler.
After Dark, man. Impressive young man. He wasn't really trying to get into that trash talk conversation with you, though. I thought he might. He didn't give you anything there.
No, and you could tell that's not him. That's just not who he is.
No.
Even watching him play, he plays with such poise for a sophomore. Like, that's what blows me away is, again, takes care of the ball, makes all the right decisions. I think his 3-point percentage went down tonight, and he went 2 for 5. So that's how well he shot the ball this year too.
This team 50% from the 3.
Yeah, no, Jerel, this team ranked last, I think, in adjusted defensive efficiency last year in the SEC. That was like maybe the Achilles heel of Vanderbilt. It doesn't appear as if that is going to be an issue for them this year, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's still probably a little too early to tell. Obviously, they'll have some more tough games where we'll get a realistic look at exactly who this team is going to be. But I do like their roster. I thought they did a good job of having holdover with guys that were there last year that they kind of brought along and developed guys such as Tyler, and then also mixing in some experienced guys who can help fill it up and just fill in the holes. So it'll be an interesting team. I'm looking forward to seeing more of them.
LaTulip, thoughts on Vandy this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it reminds me a lot of Ole Miss last year, where they start off so hot, and then all of a sudden, every single game you start to turn into the hunted. And so that's where I really want to see this team once they start to have that target on their back. Because there's a world where on January 7th, they're playing against Alabama sitting at 14-0. There's a real world. They got Central Arkansas, Memphis, sorry, John Martin, Wake Forest, New Haven, South Carolina between now and Alabama. So can you take care of business up to that point, and then you let it crack there in SEC play? I'm fascinated to see how this Vandy team handles this next month to 2 months with the success they're having.
So, hey, Sam.
Yeah.
I think there's something in the water there at James Madison because Byington and Kurt Cignetti were there together. And Sig takes over a crappy Indiana program, and look at what he's done. And Byington inherited a shit show from Jerry Stackhouse at Vanderbilt, and look at what he's been able to do in the same period of time. Both really good coaches, different personalities, but both great ball coaches.
It's a great comparison, Goodman, because similar to Cignetti, I think Mark Byington is built for this era of roster construction and recruiting, and both of them build programs. And you guys all know this, in an era of which there's no more program building in the sense of like, I'm going to recruit only high school players. Now you have to be able to supplement it through the transfer portal. Both Cignetti and Byington are similar in that mindset, I think. All right, so that's Vanderbilt and SMU. Let's move on to another game, Clemson and Alabama. This one was another one in which Clemson battled back. Alabama should have had this one going away, but instead it was awfully close there. When you look at this Alabama team, they scored over 100 points, I think, against Maryland and the game prior to that. That was after the Gonzaga loss. They seem like they have a good identity, a good formula there to win. Is it sustainable? I think is my question. Like, is the way that Nate Oates has built this program sustainable?
Mike,
Jeff? I think. Okay.
Go ahead, Jerel. Jerel, you're up.
Yeah, that's the perfect. Y'all both said each other, so I should go, right? No,
that's right.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is sustainable, and it's fun. It's funny actually that you mentioned that, Sam, because one of the things that I put down in my notes tonight when I was watching them is like, Bama kind of reminds me, and I know Nate Oates is kind of into the analytics thing, like big time into it. And I don't mean just having a guy on your staff that says he's an analytics guy, like he believes in it.
Right.
He's shown that he can win this way. He's shown that his system works. I trust and believe him in that regard, but kind of reminds me of those championship or finals Celtics teams. I feel like they're never out of a game, and the game is never over when they're up 25. If that kind of makes sense, like you know, they just have those. Like you're guaranteed to have one of those lows. They're going to get hot at some point and like go on a crazy run, but at the same time they're going to have a moment in the game, 5 or 6 minute stretch where they're not making shots, and you know somebody can make a 15-0 run right back on them. So they're kind of in between. But again, another team that has a great mix of guys. Man, they obviously got top end talent tonight. Falon was great again, and you know, as well as I thought the player of the game had to be Amari Allen. He played fantastic, and what I think was his first. I know for sure his first double, but also his first career start, I believe. So, you know, the kid from Green Bay held it down tonight. But I definitely think it's a sustainable recipe for Alabama. Nate Oates, I believe in him enough to say that.
Yeah, LaTulip led by 19 in this game, ended up winning by 6. You know, LeBaron Philon, 29 points in this game. The hero, I think, was Aiden Jerel, who maybe only had 5 points, but he had 8 blocks, including a pretty crucial one down the stretch of the final possession for the Tigers there. Your thoughts on the win for Alabama?
Yeah, just knowing that Clemson wants to pound in the paint, go high-low, having a guy like Jerel in there to protect the rim. I mean, it was Clifford Murray last year, and then you needed Jerel to take that jump, but just watching this game, it's like I was almost having to, and it was that's a hell of a comparison, I think, Jerel, to you know, just kind of the analytics age, the Celtics, how you can blow a game open, but it's never really over. I just thought in the first half, they made 11 of their first 16 shots, but it was really their defense that continued to extend that game. And so I was impressed once they finished the half 3 for 13 from three and still held a 15-point lead. So I'm over here writing in my notes like, wow, look at the step forward that Alabama's taken defensively. And then the opposite happens in the second half. Clemson changes their ball screen coverage, keeps them out of the paint a little bit more. But just I think flat out, LeBaron Philon refused to let Alabama lose this game. Just point blank period. And even with Clemson shifting defensively, still finding a way to get into the paint, he can continue to get those deep paint touches. The and one that he had to put them up 84-83. And then Jerel touched on it too. Amari Allen is one of the reasons and a big reason why I continue to believe in Alabama long term, because what he allows you to do defensively with his switchability, he's athletic, he's pesky. And then, when they tried to steal a few possessions late with Philon having 4 fouls, Amari Allen was running point and, ended up getting downhill, getting his guy up in the air and finishing to pretty much put the game away. So he's been extremely impressive. I think he's only going to get more time. I think even when Holloway and Wright still get back, I don't know if you can take Amari Allen off the floor.
Goodman. That's the big thing.
Go ahead.
They didn't have their starting backcourt. They literally didn't have 2/3 of their starting backcourt, and they were up 19. And yes, they took their foot off the pedal. Like, Clemson's not overly talented. They're well coached. They're tough. They fight you. I think the worst thing that happened to the Alabama team in a way was getting up at 19 points early, because I do think they just, it's human nature sometimes. And these guys can talk to it way more than I can, what it's like as a player to deal with something like that. But I think Alabama's going to be fine. The biggest question I have is just the consistency of Aiden Jerel and Taylor Bowen. Like, one of them has to show up every single game, and that kind of hasn't been the case. They've been better than what I thought, and Noah Williamson hasn't really given them anything as a backup big. I actually thought London Jemison was to me a bright spot tonight. I thought he could be an X factor for them.
Yeah. Goodman, is this backcourt better than last year's? I know a lot, Mark Sears leaving, but I think that's safe to say, right?
I think so, because I don't think Mark Sears was a leader. Like, I think his numbers were great. He led him to a Final Four. I'm not going to take a lot away from Mark Sears. I just think there's a higher ceiling for this team, because I think they got so many guards. I mean, look, they got Jaleel Bethea back tonight. He played a few minutes. He hasn't played all year. Super talented. He's an AU player. It's going to take him time. I think next year will be his year. But, like, that dude won't even be able to get on the floor when Wrightsell and Holloway come back. He won't.
Right. Another point, too, for Alabama. This team was like in the 60s last year in KenPom average height. For whatever that's worth, they got pushed around a little bit. It was never more evident, I think, than the loss in the regional final to Duke. But other than Aiden Holloway, every member of this rotation is at least 6'4". That length on the perimeter for Nate Oates is a game changer on both ends. And I was impressed with the defensive performance tonight. Holding Clemson to 21% from three. I know they're an up and down team, like you mentioned, Jeff. Held Clemson to 1 of 9 shooting to close out the game, though. And LaTulip, you mentioned it. The defense for this team could be the differentiator from them being an Elite 8 team again this year, or a team that's playing in the Final Four.
And that's why I think the backcourt's better this year, because that's where Sears struggled. I mean, Sears got benched because of it last year. And so I just think, and Jeff mentioned the consistency, that's the challenge for Alabama, because if they find ways, and you're not going to have perfect defensive possessions for 40 minutes. It's not going to happen.
Nope.
There's too much that happens in the game of basketball. But if they can just have that consistent mindset, if they develop the mindset for 40 minutes, look out. I mean, I think we're still undervaluing Alabama and what they can accomplish long term.
For those who are watching and joining with us on the YouTube page here, the Field of 68 After Dark, please hit us in the comments. We were planning on doing a short after segment, so we would love to get some of your thoughts on what we have seen from the SEC and the ACC Challenge. But yeah, just to wrap it up there on Alabama, Nate Oates has built this Alabama program into such a wagon that the Elite Eight appearance last year maybe wasn't taken for granted, but it certainly was made known that they expect to be competing for national championships there in Titletown. So, the early losses may have raised some eyebrows. This was certainly a good win for Nate Oates and the program builder. All right. That'll do it for us on the Field of 68 After Dark. We are going to do an after segment, so please join us there. We're also going to hit on Virginia and Ryan Odom in the afters as well, so stick around.
These my DJ Burns shades I had for.
That was like taking them into the depths of Alaska and just dropping them off.
The first person that's gonna die gotta be one of the black guys. They're not gonna make it to the end of the movie.
That's like asking somebody, do they want to get a prostate exam or a damn gunshot wound?
What is going on? Welcome back here in the afters, Field of 68 After Dark. I mean, you think about the SEC and the ACC Challenge really quick before we get to Virginia, Goodman. It is never more evident the ACC is a lot better than they were last year, right? I mean, that was proven.
at least they fought, right? They fought. They had a chance. If damn Boston College could have held their own in that huge home court advantage, the Connie Forum, we'd be talking about a tie right now. But instead, only 112 people showed up for the game, and they didn't have any home court advantage.
Look, one of the ACC teams who underperformed in last year's challenge was Virginia, and they absolutely blitzed Texas on their home floor tonight. Ryan Odom, year one at Virginia, has completely changed the perception of the Who's program. They hadn't really faced a huge test up until this point. So this was, I think, a fact-finding mission for me, guys, as it pertains to this team. And look, we may have found a sleeper, hard to call Virginia a sleeper in the ACC, but I think there was a lot of question marks for Coach Odom coming into to this year. 88-69, the final there for UVA. LaTulip, I know you had some eyes on this game, but your thoughts on the Who's so far this year?
Yeah, Doster and I did our offseason grades with Virginia, and I felt like they could be a top 25 offense in America. And you just see tonight it was on full display. I mean, you got Jakari White coming off the bench, what he can do from the perimeter. And then this front court, DeRitter is a grown man, literally. I mean, I think he turns 23 in January. And then Grulo is the guy that, I mean, it's a 7-footer hitting relocation threes in the corner. It's just they're phenomenal offensively, and I think they got a chance to compete there in that second tier of the ACC.
All right, we talked about Auburn and NC State. Auburn with a huge 10-point win in the jungle earlier tonight. We are joined by the head man, Stephen Pearl, right now in the afters. Coach, really appreciate the time. Congratulations on the win. Great start to the year. Talk about your team. And we were mentioning it earlier. This is now the 1-month official date through the start of the season. What have you learned from your team through the first month of the season after this 10-point win tonight?
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I think more than anything, I've learned that we got a long way to go. We got a lot we got to improve on. Offensively, like I thought our execution was really poor. 20 turnovers tonight against a really good offensive team. That's not going to beat the best teams on our schedule. So, but I think that's encouraging because it shows that we have room to get better. When you can turn over the ball 20 times against a top 10 offensive team, they shoot 20 more shots than us. And we still find a way to win by 10. So we got pieces, but I thought our defense has improved the last 2 games. We've played 3 straight top 10 offensive efficiency teams in the country. One of them blew us out by 30, and we beat the other 2. So that's progress. I just think we got to continue to build and continue to get better every week.
All right, so I'm not gonna lie, I was worried about you. I was worried about you in Vegas after that Michigan game. I came over and I was like, man, I don't know how you're going to bounce back. What are you going to do to kind of – because you had a short turnaround too, and you're playing Rick Pitino and St. John's. Tell me what you did with this group to kind of get them to where they were focused and they could come back and beat a team like St. John's.
Well, I appreciate your concern for me, Jeff. That means a lot. Thank you. I told the guys, obviously, we should be embarrassed. We should be disappointed. Here's the deal. If Michigan plays like that, no one's going to beat them. But at the end of the day, we got to be better. You know what I mean? We're good enough to hang in there with that team. Now, if they're going to make 16 threes and we're going to miss 15 free throws, that's what the result's going to be. And if we're going to execute the way we did, that's what the result's going to be. So in a 3-game, 3-day format, even if you win a big game, you got to wash it quickly and get on to the next one because, like you said, you got Rick Pitino in St. John's, or you got, Gonzaga, Mark Few. You have somebody elite in that tournament game after game after game. So I told our guys, I said, listen, that was embarrassing. We can never let that happen again. But no one's going to remember that game. They're going to remember our response. And is your response going to be we're going to come out there and pout and, let that one loss turn into 2? Or are we going to wash it, get ready for a really good team and beat, what an unbelievable opportunity to lose a game like that, right? And still be able to go play a top 15 team in the country and build your resume. In what other field or tournament does that happen? So, we got to stop feeling sorry for ourselves. It's one game. They played great. We didn't play very well. We have an opportunity to forget about all that and beat a really good St. John's team and leave this thing 2-1. And, I thought our guys did a pretty good job of that.
Yeah, Coach, congrats on the win tonight. My question is just, moving into the head coaching position and being responsible for more of team morale, keeping everyone together, and then even in game doing more of the game management as opposed to more of a micro focus. What have you learned the most here in the first few months?
Man, how much time do you guys have? I mean, it's something every day, for me, obviously, I was defensive coordinator the last couple of years. So you get so laser focused on the defense that, you don't really pay attention to anything else as the coordinator. So for me, I had to release some of my responsibilities defensively so I could just kind of, concentrate more on game management. Coach Bowman does a great job with the substitution, so he takes that off my plate. Coach Burgermaster does a great job with the play calling, so that takes that off my plate. But, managing the flow of the game, timeouts, referees, runs, matchups, different things like that. Every single game, I learned something different. And I better because, you look at the teams that we've played so far. We play Steve Lutz and Penny Hardaway in two exhibitions. I'm playing Kelvin Sampson in my 4th game as a college basketball coach. I'm then playing Dana Altman in Vegas, then Dusty May, then Rick Pitino, and then Will Wade. So if I don't learn quickly, we're going to get our asses kicked. So, it's been, kind of drinking out of a fire hose, but that's why you have a phenomenal staff to be able to lean on to help you through those moments. And then obviously we got guys that, trust what we're doing enough to go out there and execute to win some of these tougher games.
Great answer, Coach. Congrats again on the win. I got to ask, jumping off of Mike's question. I hear a little bit of an echo, so either that's the biggest office on campus, or you just did a complete demolition and threw out all Dad's old shit. Which is it?
Man, it's a big ass office, but it wasn't for me. That's the thing. We get these new offices, and obviously BP being the winningest coach in Auburn basketball history, they build him a damn condo. And
that's right.
I step into the job, and a month later we move into these new offices, and I told my sport administrator, I said, I'm not moving into that office because I haven't done anything to earn it yet. And they're like, well, if you don't step into it, we're going to find somebody who will. So you need to go use your parking spot, go move into your office and act like the head coach. So it's it's beyond what I deserve. I'm very grateful and appreciative for it. And it gives me a great space, a great environment for me to come in here and work and try and get our guys ready.
Last one for you. And by the way, as somebody who decided to follow in their father's footsteps, I understand what the what it takes to try to make your own footprints in this sort of industry. But look, you guys last year had the second toughest strength of schedule, I think. And once you're in the top five, throw all the stats out the window. You guys played a hell of a schedule last year. You look at what's on slate again this year. I know you talked about some of the games you guys have already kind of played. You look at what's coming up too. Your team this year, their identity is what, Coach Pearl?
It's a good question. I think the one I'm just going to give you a long answer because I can't give you a single word.
That's fine.
Our guys came here knowing what the schedule was. They knew that we were playing Houston. They knew that we were playing in the Players era against two really good teams and then potentially a third great team. They knew that we were going to go to Arizona. They knew that we had an ACC-SEC game. They knew that we were going to go to Purdue. They signed up for this. So I think their identity is just, I think they're hungry, right? I think there's a lot of guys on our roster, who have been overlooked and have had a chip on their shoulder, and I think they came here because one, they wanted to play for the staff. They wanted to play in front of these incredible fans, but two, they wanted to play against the best. And, I think so far they've done a good job, but, like you said, like it's about to get harder because, think about this, we're playing, Arizona, who some people have as the best team in college basketball. A week later, 2 weeks later, we play Purdue, right? So we may play, what people have predicted as their Final Fours with Houston, Michigan, Arizona, and Purdue all before we get to conference play. So, Mike Burgomaster, who's our offensive coordinator, he's a real asshole because he really put me in a tough spot as a head coach to, put this schedule together. But our guys know exactly what they're getting into, and they were excited about the opportunity. So just every single night is a great opportunity for us to continue to get better and grow as a unit. Sorry, I don't know if I'm not supposed to cuss, but that's just my bad.
No, you can.
I feel like I'm talking to Goodman.
That's after dark.
Yeah, absolutely. You can cuss on this show. I'll see you a week from Saturday against Purdue and Indy, and that one I'll talk to you. I didn't even bother after that Michigan game. I left the arena after that one.
It was a good decision. I saw BP in the hallway after the game, and he was like, "You okay?" I was like, "No," just walked off. So, yeah, it's good that you didn't stick around for that one.
Hey,
I did.
We all been there. Steven, really appreciate the time, man. And by the way, you can tell your players are invested in you and your program this year. And I think that is never more evident than watching them play on the floor. So really appreciate the time and best of luck down the stretch, man. We'll be watching.
Hey, appreciate you guys. War Eagle.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
But tough spot, Jeff, right? I mean, that's not easy to do, man. And he's handled it with grace because, you could have taken that a lot of different ways, and he handled it different ways and have different people on your staff. He's got a great staff there. He's got a great fan base. His team has rallied around him. And they're in a good spot this year, underrated. I think they're right where they want to be right now.
Yeah, no doubt. And he reminds me a little bit of Richard Pitino in how he handles being the son of a legendary coach, right? They embrace the fact that, hey, you know what? I haven't done anything yet. I know why I got here. Certainly they put in their time to get there, but they wouldn't be there if it weren't for their dad. So I think it's kind of cool that they embrace it and understand it and don't fight it.
Right. All right, let's really quickly, let's take it back to the University of Virginia conversation here. We got a little sidetracked by a great get there with Stephen Pearl. But, yeah, I mean, Ryan Odom, we talk about what he's built there. Man was a ball boy for this team. Talk about fits, right, and timing. I don't think there was a better fit for a coach than Ryan Odom to Virginia. Jerel, thoughts on the matchup tonight? Thoughts on the win? Thoughts on Virginia at large this season in the ACC?
Yeah, and I think Coach Odom is kind of making this thing into obviously his own as well. He's been tasked with the the task of kind of rebuilding the Virginia program and making it sexy again. I think he's going to do that with not only the way that he goes after guys in the portal and the attention to detail, but also the style of play, the way that he wants to play, what he's bringing over from his VCU days as well too. So I think it should be fun. It should be interesting. Obviously, that fan base is kind of yearning for some success after a rough year or two. So it should be exciting to see what he's able to do moving forward.
Any last thoughts on the Who's this year in Whoville?
Yeah, look, I think, honestly, this team reminds me a lot. If you look at Ryan Odom, that 2023 Utah State team, that was like a top 20 offense in the country. They were top 70 defensively, but Stephen Ashworth, Max Shulga, Taylor Funk, Bairstow, like they had the size in the front court. Funk kind of reminds me of DeRitter in a way, and then you got the guards as well. I think if you're a Virginia basketball fan, you're just happy to see that ball getting up and down the floor. Like that's, and just a really, really potent offense that really they hadn't had since that 2019 team that won a title. So this has got to be a pretty welcome sight there in Charlottesville.
Speaking of, really quick, when was the last time Virginia won a game in the NCAA tournament? 2019.
2019.
Yeah, it's crazy.
2019 was the last time Virginia won a
that
game
long?
in the NCAA tournament. How crazy is that, right?
Wow.
The last time they were in it was that Colorado State game in the first four, wasn't it? Where they put up the graphic that they hadn't scored in like an hour of real time.
Yep, I remember that.
By the way, they're the first champion not to win an NCAA tournament game in the following 5 seasons since the NCAA tournament expanded after winning a national championship. So, all right, we got a couple of questions, Dagan. What do we got in the afters chat here tonight?
Yeah, we'll do two quick ones. We'll do our toast, and then we'll go to bed. This is one, obviously, we talked about the challenge as a whole. The SEC took it 9-7. But this question here from Angel G in the chat, is the ACC better this year, or is the SEC worse?
I think it's a combination.
At the same time there.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Goodman.
I agree with you,
Elaborate.
Sam. I think it's both.
Yeah.
To me,
I
again,
think how worse, though? Like, how worse? How worse is the SEC this year?
I mean, Vandy surprised us, right? Vandy surprised us. I think, again, part of the reason the SEC was so good last year was because of what it did in that first month, right? Like, I don't know if it was quite as good as we made it out to be, but it won so much in that first month that every loss was a quality loss from there on out. So I think it's good this year. I don't think it's quite as deep or top heavy. Really, probably more top heavy than anything, because you look at it and you're like, all right, where's the elite team coming from? Is it Alabama? I mean, obviously Kentucky's struggling right now. They were really good a year ago this day. Alabama is probably the one team that you feel pretty good about has a chance, but I don't think any of them you would say right now would be in the top, 5-6 teams in the country.
No.
Yeah,
Go ahead, LaTulip.
I was just going to say the flip side of that with the ACC, you go on down the list. Like, I think Louisville was good last year. I think Louisville got better. I think Carolina got better. Virginia got better. NC State got better. Miami got better. Freaking Notre Dame got better. Syracuse got better. Like, it's, just the big win against Tennessee. I mean, Florida State got better.
Coaching.
I mean, like, it feels
so the
like
coaching got better,
LaTulip?
Is that what you're saying? The coaching got better? Is that what you're saying? Because that's what it sounds
That's
like.
it. That's all
I've
ever said about the ACC. I think coaching got better in the Big Ten. I think coaching got it matters nowadays, and I think you can vet better for it. And I think administrations are nailing it a little bit more than they were maybe 5-10 years ago with all the resources they have at their disposal. Jeff probably know better than I would on that, but it feels that way. It's not just like, hey, mid-major coach 1 game in NCAA tournament, hire him. Yeah, it's like there's a little bit more that goes into it. It feels like now.
The money got better too. I'm sure of it.
No doubt.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination of both. ACC will be better. I'm not sure how much better. SEC, I do think took a step back. I just think that not that top tier again. They'll have, I think, a solid 4 teams that'll be really, really good teams throughout the course of the year. I think that second tier of teams has kind of taken a step back. I'm not sure they'll have the same success. Obviously, they haven't had the same success in a non-conference thus far, but I think it'll be a little bit closer this year. And obviously, I still think that that Big Ten is probably going to be the best conference, top to bottom.
Over under 5 teams from the ACC in the NCAA tournament this year. Or is that on 5? Maybe
I'll go over.
I was going to go
just
over
because
too. Yeah.
The Big East is in trouble right now. Like they could legitimately I think they'll get 3 at the end of the day. If they get 3 and the SEC isn't getting what it did last year, I just think there's going to be more opportunities there for the ACC. And I also think other than Duke, and even Duke, they're not quite as overpowering, I think, as they were a year ago in league play. So I think they'll get picked off a little bit more.
Yeah. All right, Dagan, what else we got tonight?
I got one more question for you guys, but first we got to give a shout out to our Trevor Valise. We're 22 minutes into his birthday, so happy birthday, Trevor!
Wow.
Happy birthday, Trevor!
Happy birthday, Trevor!
Happy B-Day, Trev!
And Trevor, for your birthday present, we're going to talk about the Big East. Logan wants to know, outside of UConn and St. John's, who is the third team? If you had to pick right now, so just quick, who's the third team to make the tournament? You have to pick one.
You have to pick one?
Whether it is or not.
It is not Seton Hall. I'm going to go
Butler.
I'm going to go
Butler. It's Butler.
That's who I was going to say.
I'm going to go Thad Matta. Thad Matta goes back to the tournament and then retires again.
Don't they just feel like a first 4? You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Butler and Dayton.
Yeah.
Bizjack, baby.
I'm not. Are you guys fully out on Creighton? Like, are you closing the door on Creighton?
Man, they're not that talented.
I think so.
I saw them in Vegas.
Something doesn't seem right. Yeah, something doesn't seem right, man.
Oh, there's no Kalkbrenner. That's a problem.
Greer just
right?
he's back in a boot. I mean, it's. I don't see it defensively with them. Even in a weak Big East, but I could see Butler or maybe like a Villanova, like one of those 2 teams is someone's going to stack wins. Someone's going to have 22, 23 wins.
That's right.
Going into Selection Sunday.
Yeah. St. John's also has a lot of questions, man. They got to answer some here. Who's playing point guard for that team? But I don't know. The Big East inherently worse than it has been in a while. Which, Goodman, real quick, can you explain this to me? Because for all of the NIL talk and all of the money that's going into these conferences, the Big East was one supposedly that was going to get the biggest boost because they did not have basketball. Can you explain to the folks out there why maybe we haven't seen that yet?
It'll be next year. Next year, the Big East is going to have that opportunity because of rev share goes in a year from now. So this year was a free-for-all, and that free-for-all helped the SEC and helped the Big Ten. You know, teams like Indiana, Illinois, a bunch of SEC teams where we're seeing, Kentucky, $20 million. So I think next year will be the year that there's a window here, and then Greg Sankey is going to get pissed off when he sees that window, and things will change. And some SEC teams aren't going to play by the rules next year. So, but I do think teams like Seton Hall, DePaul, some of those teams, Georgetown, are going to have an advantage. They're going to spend money. Georgetown already spent some money, but like Seton Hall and DePaul could have $5 or $6 million next year when by the rules, like a team like Ole Miss might have less than $3 million because of the rev share, because their football's sucking up all of it.
Can I ask a question for the panel very quick? Very quick, because I've been meaning to ask it. And you mentioned Kentucky and the spending.
Yeah.
How in the world do we have one of the most historic freshman classes and none of them are at Kentucky?
Because John Calipari isn't there. Because John Calipari isn't there anymore. If he was,
boom,
they would have him.
they would have him.
That's
They would
not
have
Pope.
him 100%.
That's just not Pope. I mean, he that's just he's got a kid.
But
in
there's
Jasper
so
Johnson.
many of them.
Yeah, he got
There's
Jasper
so
Johnson.
many of those guys.
Well,
He
he got
Moreno
Moreno
and
too.
Jasper Johnson.
Those
But I'm
are
talking
two.
like,
I mean,
I'm talking like the guys at the top. Like the top.
Yeah, but
that
I
top
think
eight.
but LaTulip, that is kind of what most coaches have gone with. Most coaches have said, if you look at it, all the teams that have won it all have been older, right? And it kind of started with like Villanova, right? And Mark Pope has embraced that. And the guys who put that team together embraced it of, hey, we got to be older. And it works to some extent. I mean, look at Vanderbilt. Other than the kid we interviewed tonight, look at their age. They are old across the board. So I just think that Kentucky team, and we could spend an hour on that team, we're not going to, but they're flawed in how they're put together. First of all, they have one point guard and he's hurt.
he hurt. Yep. That's the problem right there.
It starts there.
My father, one of the best pieces of advice, Goodman, he ever gave me: never live in the biggest house on the street, because you got a lot of attention coming your way, man. Kentucky living in the biggest house on the street right now, and all eyes are on them. All right, let's get to some of the toasts.
So your
of
dad's
the
in a
night.
shack? Are you saying your
No,
dad's
that-
in like
that-
a little shack?
That is a thee, not for we statement. So no, he's doing just fine, my friend. Let's get to our toast of the night, man. There's so many different places we could take this. A lot of people with great performances tonight. Who wants to go first here with the toast of the night? Anyone got one on the top of their head?
Yeah. Mine was. I
Go ahead,
kind of
Jerel.
already mentioned. I mentioned it already with the Bama game. Amari Allen. That was mine for sure. So I kind of already shouted him out. But yeah, his first career double-double. I thought he was huge tonight and played really well as a freshman. So that was mine.
Who you got, Mike?
I'm gonna go with the collective human torch of Iowa State tonight. 22 of 30.
You stole mine, LaTulip. There you go.
Sorry. I'm sorry. 22 of 30
Program
from
record.
3.
Wow.
And then I'll even say too, Joshua Jefferson, 10 assists, 0 turnovers. That just Iowa State toast.
And they only won by 64 points.
That'll do the
They're
wonders
net.
in the metrics.
Yeah, they could be number one in the net tomorrow. This is a TJ Osborne special. You never know.
4th and Ken Palm.
I'm going to go with Nico Medved. I'm going to go with them getting a big win over Indiana, a ranked Indiana team. And the only thing is, like Nico, let's get the full court storm next time, not this half-ass shit. Let's get the full experience next time when you beat a ranked team at the barn.
Yeah, start somewhere.
True.
Yeah,
Christmas break.
that was a little lackluster, man. I'll shout out. I'll give a toast to LSU. They're 8-0 on the year. Look, I mean, we mentioned the gauntlet that it is to go up to Conti Forum there up on the heights and try to get a win. But look, LSU gutted one out. This is survive in advance mode in December here. 78-69 there. They are 8-0 for the first time in a while. Thomas Jr. had another good game. He scored 23 in that one. So I'm not going to say LSU is going to be a contender in the SEC this year, but I think they're going to get somebody. I think they're going to get somebody this year. So toast to the LSU Tigers. All right, that is going to do it for us here on the Field of 68 After Dark. Thank you all so much for watching. And by the way, if you are not subscribed, please subscribe on the YouTube channel. There's so much content here that we will be pushing out throughout the course of the season, all throughout the holidays as well. This has been fun, guys, as we enter the month of December. So many good games on deck for Jeff Goodman, Mike LaTulip, and Jerel McNeal. I am Sam Ravech saying so long. Have a great night, everyone.